conditional cash transfers are basically governmental transfers of money. So the government transfer a particular stipend, generally a monthly stipend, to poor families with certain conditions, which generally refer to the health and the education of poor children. Now, we need to take into account that poor families are receiving this money. And in almost all cases, the women in the family, in the poor families, are the ones who are legally entitled to receive the money. And this has different rationales. So the understanding is that when you transfer the money to women without a household, it results in better food security for children. And this understanding, it's said or is supposed or is marketed as being empowering for women. After all, if you give women money, they're supposed to become more financially independent or economically empowered. What I'm doing, what I'm studying is I'm trying to problematize that understanding. I'm trying to see if that's actually the case. And I'm trying to figure out if women actually feel more empowered where taking charge of this stipend and also making sure that the poor household complies with those conditions. There are programs that are called conditional cash transfer programs, right? There is a program, it's a social policy program. There is a transfer of cash, which is a monthly stipend. It's not much money, but it makes a huge difference in the lives of poor people. And it's conditional because there are certain conditionalities attached in Argentina, basically in every Latin American country. In Canada, they tend to be unconditional. So that's not the trend. It's more like a standard social policy program, right? But what I'm interested in is the existence of the conditionalities and what it means from different points of view. Legally, from the point of view of human rights, social legally, how can we say that we are empowering certain sectors of the population? How can we say that we are empowering women? How do the recipients feel about it? And the conditionalities refer to certain behaviors that they need to accomplish in order to receive the stipend, which means that if they don't perform the behaviors, they do not receive the money. So there is a strong message behind the idea of conditional cash transfers, that is that we are, in a way, whether we like to think about it or not, disciplining the behavior of certain sectors of the population who are receiving stipends, the poorest. And the conditionalities are very controversial because they generally refer to things that we expect, for example, mothers or families to accomplish anyways. For example, components refers to the health and the education of children. Let's say, take your children to school. They need to have school attendance. They need to go to the doctor to get proper vaccinations. And it's more complicated than that, especially when the system of conditional cash transfers relies on the state provision of public services, such as health and education. So the way that the state figures out whether poor mothers are complying with the conditionalities is through a document. It's called a libreta, a social security libreta, or a notebook, where you basically prove that through stamps. The issue with this is that, at least in the context of Argentina, and I'm studying a program in Argentina, it's called the Asignación Universal por Hijo, or Universal Child Allowance program. It involves a lot of waiting, a lot of queuing, and that actually relies on the time of poor mothers, which in turn also need to perform with duties of or responsibilities of care. So it's very complicated. It also means that rely on social services or services that need to be given by the state. And we don't change that part of the formula, that part of the equation. So it parts from the understanding that those services must be universal, must be equal, the access must be non-discriminatory, which is certainly not the case in Argentina. So my question is, I'm obviously quite biased in the way that I think about conditional cash transfers, but what I want to do is to put those biases aside and to interview women who are receiving the stipend. I want to know what it means to them. Do they actually feel more empowered? Do they feel that their daily burdens are increasing? Do they feel that they're being stereotypes as the main caretakers? What happens? There are other questions. What happens when a father is receiving the stipend and not the mother? What happens to family relationships? What happens to intrapersonal, intrafamiliar relationships because of these transfers? And what are the changes that we're seeing in regards to gender? What are the gender dynamics behind this? Is it positive? Is it negative? And I think it requires a nuanced understanding. It could be both. It could be that, women feel more empowered economically, less dependent financially. I don't know. I'm just, hypothesizing. It could be the opposite. It could be that because women receive the stipend, and let's suppose that they are in a situation of intrafamiliar violence or a situation of intrafamily abuse, that the person that occupies the position of the role of the male in the household may feel threatened. So therefore, the stipend that was supposed to be empowering may actually have the opposite effect. So there are all these kind of relationships that are very complex, that are not necessarily black nor white.